Well, it seems like somebody out there has got a vendetta to get Bad Boys for Life out. Like constipation. This movie is not even going to get a rating of 7.0. You're talking 6 point something. The family of movies keeps getting worse and worse. I don't even know why they're making this film. I mean, if you know, let me know in the comments. Bad Boys 1 and 2 were not really anything to talk about, and Bad Boys for Life actually has been a very long time coming. People didn't want to produce it for reasons that I'm probably going to highlight later. So if you want to know why you should not waste your time watching this Will Smith and Martin Lawrence movie, watch on. Okay, so this is a low budget flick which ended up with some amateur punk directors from Belgium, right? They're called Adil El Arbi and Bilall Fallah. These are some amateur punk directors from Belgium who probably got on the set because it's low budget. I'll actually read out an extract from the internet which shows you just that. So these guys are known for producing Belgian movies, right? This is probably their first time in the States. They usually are onto these lame gangster movie type of themes, and this is exactly what you're going to get from Bad Boys 4. Looking at the movies these guys have done before, they've done one called Pater, I think, which means gangster in Belgium, where there was these punks who actually were low-life gangsters and they were trying to up their gangster game. They went through this whole gangster world, came up against drug lords and stuff like that, and then at the end of the day, in typical American African movie fashion, when I say American African movies, I'm talking the likes of, what's this guy at 400 million? What's this guy? Wait. Let me Google this. Wait. Just give me a second. Yes, in typical Tyler Perry fashion, they realized that drug dealing is not for them, blah blah blah. Then they also directed this movie called Black, another Belgian movie where there were these two people who were in love and their love could not be cemented because they were from rival gangs and what blah blah. You know, you're not talking of those movies with any twists and turns, just that lame Bad Boys type of thing. So I understand why these kids have been put on this movie. So it's actually a recipe for disaster. But I am sure these guys only put them on because of the fact that they had no money to actually really bring Bad Boy for Life out. Like I said, Bad Boy for Life has been trying to come out like constipation. Let me read an extract for you from the internet which shows just that. Okay, so what I'm about to read will show you that this is just an experimental movie with budget owns, and these guys just trying to take your money, right? These guys are just doing this movie for the sake of it. Probably that it's just supposed to come out. Maybe like some passion project, but it's not really something you should take seriously. Because if you go with your girl, you're not getting the girl. Or if you go with your wife, you might lose your wife. Alright. In June 2008, Michael Bay, director of the first Bad Boys films, stated that he might direct Bad Boys 3. But that the greatest obstacle to the potential sequel would be the cost. So it's the budget flick, right? And he and Will Smith demand some of the highest salaries in the industry, right? They can't actually get somebody else for Bad Boys 3, but they have to pay Will Smith. This is going to actually affect everything else because probably they had to put most of the money on Will Smith and people like Martin Lawrence and everybody else who doesn't matter, like these budget dudes from Belgium. We're going to cover up for everything else. This will probably lead to a poor production, and I'm sure when you look at the trailer you can see that there's a lack of quality and depth there, right? So by August 2009, Columbia Pictures had hired Peter Craig to write the script for Bad Boys 3, and in February 2011 Martin Lawrence reiterated that the film was in development. And in June 2014, Braham announced that the screenwriter David Guggenheim was working on the storyline for the sequel. 2 months later, Martin Lawrence said that a script had been written and parts had been cast. And by June 2015, I mean, this is like Bad Boys 3, guys. It's not even Transformers, it's not even James Bond, anything that takes a decade to come out, but it's not coming out. it tells you that a lot of people don't have a faith in this flick, right? And then by June 2015, director John Canahan was in early talks to write and possibly direct the film. 2 months later, Sony Pictures Entertainment announced that Bad Boys 3 will be released on February 17, 2017. We're in 2019 now, right? On August 11, 2016, and that additional sequel, Bad Boys 4, was scheduled for release on July 3, 2019. Imagine, Bad Boys 4 is supposed to be out by now, but we're on Bad Boys for Life. It tells you that this is a shambles, guys. This is not something you want to use probably when you're trying to go to the movies with your girl and propose, because it won't work out. Ladies, if you're with your sugar daddy, this is not the movie to take him to if you want to ask him for some money, because he's not going to pay your rent after watching this flick, right? On March 5, 2016, the film was pushed to June 2, 2017. Producers planned to begin production as early as 2017 on August 11, 2016. The film was pushed back once again to January 12, 2018 to avoid box office competition with the upcoming DC Comics film Wonder Woman. Yeah, Wonder Woman was pretty tight, so they weren't going to survive. Trust me, that was a good decision. So in everything that I've seen about this movie to date, this is the best decision that these guys made, avoiding extinction or whatever you want to call it, right? So it was also retitled Bad Boys for Life, probably ending it. Sounds like it. They wanted to do a fourth installment and probably realized that this thing is just too shallow and hadn't done that well in the past. Yeah, it was successful, but not to the level that would probably make it survive. This time it's like Sir Alex Ferguson trying to come back to soccer. He's not gonna make it, right? Lawrence revealed on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show that filming may start in March 2017. On February 6, 2017, it was announced that the film's release had been delayed for the third time, right? And on November 9, 2018. On March 7, 2017, Carnahan left the movie due to scheduling conflicts. He probably had noted that this is a bunch of crap and he doesn't want to be involved in this because he left due to scheduling conflicts. Put that in quotes, because if this was a 007 movie, you wouldn't see him leaving, right? He probably realized that this is not worth his time. Alright. In August 2017, Sony removed the third film from the release schedule, and later in the month, Lawrence said the film will not be happening. So this film is coming back from the grave, guys. This is Casper-esque type censored. This is Casper-esque type censored. This is something that was not supposed to happen, right? This was dead as a dodo, dead in the water. People had forgotten about it. People had moved on, and you are going to go to the movie house to watch that? Even if you're a girl and you like Will Smith and the way he looks good, as you chicks say, is this worth spending your money on? This is something you're gonna have to ask yourself. By February 2018, it was reported that a sequel film was again being planned and will be directed by Belgian directors Adil Arbi and Bilall Fallah, the punk directors from Belgium who probably take dimes to the dollar compared to the proper directors, but people who have built a rep for themselves in their little gangster movies. To be fair to them, I haven't watched any of their movies. The plots seem shallow, but maybe these guys are a bit deep, because when they were filming one of their movies, they actually pulled up a stunt, which I'll talk to you about just now, right? According to Geek Worldwide, the third installment in the Bad Boys franchise will film in November 2018 to March 2019 in Miami and Atlanta, with the release date scheduled for January 17, 2020. Probably a generation after it was supposed to be released. Who knows, probably will be dead by then. Anyway, let me tell you exactly what stunt these punk directors pulled that might have gotten them called on the set, even if it was on a budget. Okay, so the punk directors have got balls. Okay, I'll put it to their credit. Balls of steel. They probably pulled a few stunts on those low-key movies of theirs. One was called Street Casting. In one of their movies, I'm not sure which one, I think it's Black, they wanted to amplify the roughness and harshness of whatever scenario they were trying to depict, and for that they picked people off the street, working with this other casting agency. So they had people who didn't have a lot of talent, or they probably just chose people who really represented the roles that they wanted to play, instead of calling these art students from these universities who were probably pre-programmed and who probably don't bring out the emotion that they wanted to bring out. So maybe this is one of the things that made the movie a bit rough, edgy, and emotional. Emotion is something I'm going to touch on in Bad Boys 3. I think they want to touch on that somehow, and probably this is how these guys came through on a budget. They probably have some quality. So to their credit, let's say the street casting actually gave them some chance of actually doing justice to this movie. Moving on to the next issue. Okay, looking at the plot of the movie, it's another lame type of offering. You know, it's flat, nothing really. News reads like a Chinese movie actually, because what happens is Marcus Burnett, Martin Lawrence, is finally police inspector, and Will Smith is Mike Lowry, is in a midlife crisis, and they're about to retire officially, but a Romanian boss whose brother they defeated exacts retaliation, so they're forced to reunite. This is like a Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Sylvester type of movie. But like I said, a Chinese movie, you know, when a Chinese or Japanese samurai is in the jungle and he meets someone else and you'll be like, your brother defeated my brother 10,000 years ago, let's fight. You know, type of thing. Something that you can actually watch while you're sleeping. Finally, I get to the trailer. I had to wade through all the BS so I could get to the juicy bits. You know, there was just a lot that I had to let you know before you actually watch this movie. As you can see, it's shrouded in all sorts of low quality ETCs going on there, right? First of all, it's said that Mike Lawrence, who's Marcus Burnett in the movie, is an inspector. So what is an inspector doing going through all this action? I mean, it's a movie and all that, but we'd love to ignore some of this, but allow me to read what the role of a police inspector is. Inspectors manage teams of sergeants, constables, and police staff and all portfolios. Post holders may be senior operational officer or manage assigned specialist policing functions. This role carries specific legal powers to enable the maintenance of law and order. Inspectors plan, manage, and monitor operational policing activity. They effectively and efficiently direct the deployment of resources to incidents, including critical incidents. Inspectors manage and mitigate risk effectively to ensure the safety and well-being of officers, staff, and the public, and to respond effectively to problems, incidents, and crime. Let me know in the comments below, in the trailer, where does it look like Martin Lawrence is performing this function? He's just wheeling around in the Porsche with Will Smith. That's not inspector duty. That's the issue. There is, it points to a lack of attention to detail. I know these movies are supposed to actually have consultants who come and consult on some of these things and what they mean, so as to combat individuals such as myself. But since it's a low budget movie, there probably wasn't a consultant, and it's showing. Okay, we go to the cliche moments, those moments that happen in every other movie. They get to the door of whoever that dude is, and Martin Lawrence is like, no can talk, right? No can talk, right? With this chick like, no can talk, right? Right? We've seen that so many times, and then they get into their crib and play good cop, bad cop. Guys, aren't you tired of actually seeing such stuff? Okay, next I talk about things that are just done for the sake of it. We start with Will Smith. Guys, yes, back then Bad Boys was a big thing for him because he was still getting into the industry, but let me know in the comments below, don't you think that Will Smith is past this? Right? It's allowed in life, it happens. I mean, how many of you have dated somebody like in high school or in primary school or in university, and now those people are not on your level? You can't even approach them, you can't say hi because they're done with you, right? They look at you, they were like, what was I thinking when I was dating this person? This is Will Smith and Bad Boys. He's past this stuff, man. Let's be honest. Next thing, the Diddy soundtrack, Bad Boys for Life. Yes, it's Bad Boys for Life because that's the title of the movie, but guys, even if you listen to it in the trailer, it's not fitting into the concept, right? Even though we're talking about a lame plot and all that, the whole Diddy thing just makes this whole show worse because not respected Diddy and his business acumen. Music is not his best talent. Turns out hits here and there, but they've got this childish, immature, flat, lame feel to them. I mean, look at Bad Boys and how it actually does not even fit into the picture. I'm going to read out some lyrics from the first verse from Diddy himself. This is from the song's Bad Boy for Life. It's like, I'm the definition of half man, half drugs, ass the clubs. Bad boy, that's what's up. Making sense to now? After bucks, crash crews after us. No games, we ain't laughing much. Yeah, sort of. Maybe the chicks come after you. I don't know what a crush crew is. Let me know in the comments below if you know that. I tried to look for that in all types of dictionaries. I could not find that. Nothing but big things. Check the hit list. Now we twist shit. What's changed but the name? Now he's talking about himself. We still here. You rocking with the best. Don't worry, I don't write. If I write rhymes, I write checks. The guy actually knows that he's bad at singing, so he's like, don't worry if I write rhymes, because you know I write checks, because my rhymes are lame, right? Who's the boss? Dudes is lost. Don't think because I'm iced out, I'm a cool loaf. Who else but me? And if you don't feel me, that means you can't touch me. It's ugly, trust me. I think it's got nothing to do with this flick, and he's just shooting off the rails, man. I know they respect Diddy, but they just put him there because, you know, it's just something that had to be done. Also, the Porsche. Yes, I love the Porsche. It's cute, but how does it really fit into that? If you look at this whole story, it's a shambles. Rich boy cop, what with the Ferraris and the Porsches. Doesn't really play out. You know, in a James Bond 007 movie, it really comes out because they serve specific purposes and also align with where Bond goes. He's at these casinos, at these locations, doing these deals that really show, you know, that is Bond. But these owns and the Porsche in the ghetto and stuff like that, it's not really coming out. And even if you're rich, you're not going to be bashing a Porsche through the car chases every day. So it's just things that were done for the sake of it, but they don't really fit into this flick. Okay, there are also some fake scenes. I like to look at fake scenes from movies. The one I saw in the trailer, I mean, it's a trailer, it's 2 minutes 45 and there's already a fake scene, and it gives you an idea of exactly what's gonna go on in the rest of the movie when Will Smith is actually going after that truck. He managed to jump off the moving bike onto the truck. I mean, rewind that scene, is around 2 minutes 11 in the official trailer. That's fake. Also, when he jumps from the truck onto the ladder on the helicopter, first scene when you can actually see the ladder in front of Will Smith, you can tell that he's pretty close to it. Then when you actually move to the other angle, you see he's too far off. There's no way he's making that jump unless it's in the studio. They could have done some better work there, but since probably it's a low budget movie, there's a certain number of takes that they could make. Check that whole sequence from when he jumps onto the truck from the bike to when he jumps onto the ladder, which is on the heli. Those are fake scenes, poorly executed. No way he can actually pull that off. Okay, looking at the genre scores, this is an action comedy. As far as the action is concerned, you can see there's a lot of bullets moving through the area, a lot of action, but I'll put it at a 5 out of 10 for the action because it does not look like anything special. The sequences just look straightforward. Somebody's shooting at something and it's blowing up. Also, looking at the comedy aspect, Will Smith is not a very funny character. Maybe he used to pull it off a bit in Fresh Prince, but to be honest, he's not as fun as the Eddie Griffins, Eddie Murphys of this world. And he's a bit snobbish because of his character in Bad Boys for Life, so the funny aspect is not really coming out. Martin Lawrence also looks like he's not at his best. The jokes that he's pulling really did not strike a chord with me, except the one that he pulled in the mall where he said we are black and we are cops so we can pull ourselves over later. Yeah, that was kind of funny. So comedy score of 4 out of 10. That's what I think. Okay, so is Mike actually going to settle down and fall in love like Marcus is pushing him in the script? When you look at the trailer, there is a moment where you can see that Mike is envying Marcus with his wife. I mean, which ending would you want? Do you want Mike to find his own love and settle down? probably wish is not the point of this movie, or you probably want him to go and bang Marcus's wife, you know, the best friend's woman. I mean, flip guy code, guys. When a woman comes at you, you probably gonna hit that. So let me know in the comments below which ending you would want in terms of Mike's feelings. But from the looks of things, it looks like he does envy that, but he's not really on that level because there's no evidence of him probably meeting anybody who he can probably hook up with. What's most interesting is that it seems like Mike has got an ulterior motive in this movie. There's a potential for betrayal between Mike and Marcus. Why am I saying this? Because when they're on top of that white building, Mike looks at Marcus and he's like, on the streets, I've never trusted anybody but you, so be with me one more time as a bad boy. And as you know, Mike is going through a midlife crisis in Bad Boys for Life. What is the midlife crisis emanating from besides his whole loneliness and all that? It's probably because he's got a deal going on. Maybe during this episode we actually find out that Mike gets his money from dirty angles and probably has been using Marcus all this time to get into these dirty deals and get the money. Maybe he's a cop to actually facilitate some funny things. If I get this prediction right, you know where you heard it first. It's your boy, The Critique. But it looks like Marcus is up for some betrayal, and this is gonna be an emotional part of the movie in line with Mike's what can I say, midlife crisis or whatnot. But they'll probably pull through it because you know you want happy endings from these flicks. Or maybe this is why Bad Boys actually comes to an end. These people separate for life and go and live the separate lives. So might be some betrayal coming up, and you might actually get something about Mike revealed that points to his source of wealth. Stuff like that. Probably is also a criminal. So yeah, this is the movie for you. I don't think it's going to be worth watching, but I mean, there's so many movies that come out during the year, so you might want to take time and rent out a DVD when it's available. But on premiere date, don't waste your time going out there. This is The Critique signing out. Let me know what you think about Bad Boys for Life. Cheers.